before he was a scientist, before he was the man who saved the South's dying farms, before he created hundreds of discoveries from peanuts, sweet potatoes, and simple plants, there was just a thin, quiet boy. A boy wandering alone in the forests of Missouri. A boy who carried wilted plants in his pockets like precious treasures. A boy who could hear life whispering from the soil. While others rushed through their days, he knelt down, touching leaves, studying petals, noticing the tiniest details. People laughed. People called him strange. But he smiled softly and said, "Nature speaks. All we have to do is listen." This is the untold story of George Washington Carver, the orphan who became a healer of soil, a teacher of humanity, and one of the most gentle geniuses in the history of the world. Welcome to Wise Book Summaries, where great lives become powerful lessons, and history becomes calm storytelling for the mind. Settle in. Take a slow breath. Let the noise of the day fade. And now let us begin the journey. George was raised by Moses and Susan Carver, the farm couple who rescued him. They were not wealthy. They had no children of their own. But they offered something George needed more than anything: gentleness. He was small for his age, often sick, too delicate for hard labor. So instead of fields and heavy tools, he spent time in the kitchen with Susan, learning to cook, sew, make herbal medicines, and care for small, fragile things. And slowly, something beautiful awakened in him. A stillness, a sensitivity, a spiritual softness. Little George would walk into the fields for hours, gathering leaves, rocks, and wounded plants. He spoke to them as if they were friends. Not loudly, not boldly, just softly. Just enough for the plants to hear. Neighbors began saying, "That Carver boy, he has a gift. He can make anything grow." One morning, after a night of cold winds, the Carver garden lay in distress. Leaves hung like tired hands, stems sagged, and the earth felt stiff and silent. Susan sighed. "It looks like we've lost everything," she whispered. But George stepped forward quietly. He touched the soil with his fingertips, closed his eyes, listened. Finally he said, in the softest voice, "They are not gone. They are hurting. If we help them, they'll help us." For the next 3 days, he did not leave the garden. He shaded the weakened plants with cloth. He added moisture drop by drop. He hummed small melodies, songs Susan had taught him. And slowly, the garden revived. Flowers lifted their heads. Vines straightened. Vegetables perked up with unexpected strength. Neighbors called it a miracle. George didn't. He simply said, "Plants are like people. They respond to kindness." This was not science yet. It was intuition. A child's love for life. But years later, scientists would discover that what he did, adjusting soil moisture, shade, and microprotections, was precisely what saved the plants. He just didn't need a textbook to know it. As George grew, so did his hunger for knowledge. Susan taught him the alphabet, scriptures, and small lessons. But his questions multiplied faster than any answers she could give. He asked why leaves had veins. Why seeds slept. Why some flowers opened at dawn while others awakened at dusk. He asked questions that seemed too large for a young boy, perhaps too large even for adults. But answers were not available in Diamond, Missouri. One evening, he looked at the sky, glowing orange from the setting sun. And he whispered to himself, "Somewhere, there is a school, and in that school is someone who can teach me why God made the world this way." It was then that George, a boy barely 12, made a decision that would change history. He would leave. Not for adventure. Not for rebellion. But for learning. He packed a small bundle of clothes, some bread, and a handful of keepsakes from nature, a feather, a pebble, a dried leaf. Susan hugged him, her eyes wet. "Write to me," she whispered. "I will," he promised. And so the small, quiet boy stepped into an enormous world, alone, but guided by a faith that glowed like a lantern inside him. The road stretched long before him. Dust rising with every step. The horizon wavering in the heat. George Washington Carver walked toward learning the way pilgrims walk toward holy places, not seeking comfort, but seeking truth. He carried almost nothing. But inside him was everything: hope, curiosity, and the quiet courage of a child who believes that God has placed a purpose deep within his soul. 4 days, he traveled from one small town to another, asking gentle questions. Is there a school here for colored children? Does anyone teach science? Do you know where I might work for food? Most doors closed. Most voices turned him away. Yet Carver never lost his softness. He walked on, Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with the determined calm of a river that keeps moving no matter how many stones lie in its path. One evening, after being rejected yet again, George found shelter in a small cabin owned by a family in Fort Scott, Kansas. In exchange for washing laundry and milking cows, they let him stay. The next morning, the lady of the house, Mrs. Watkins, found him sitting outside, sketching a wilted flower with charcoal on scrap paper. She looked over his shoulder. The drawing wasn't just accurate. It was alive. "You draw plants like they have feelings," she said softly. George smiled shyly. "Maybe they do." Mrs. Watkins studied his fragile frame, the way his breath caught from his childhood illnesses, the gentleness in his eyes. "You're not just a student," she whispered. "You're meant to teach the world." That moment became a turning point. She introduced him to nature study books, bought him his first real art supplies, and encouraged him to keep pursuing learning, no matter the obstacles. Years later, Carver said, "She did not give me knowledge. She gave me faith that knowledge was possible." Faith, the quiet companion that guided every step of his journey. Eventually, Carver applied to Highland College in Kansas. They accepted him by letter, sent a warm welcome, told him a dorm bed was ready. George traveled for days, wearing his cleanest clothes, holding his acceptance papers with trembling joy. But when he arrived, the administration saw his face, his skin, and refused him. Right at the door. No apology. No explanation. Just a cold sentence. "We did not know you were colored." George folded the letter quietly, stood for a moment, looked up at the sky. He didn't argue. He didn't beg. He didn't cry where anyone could see. He simply whispered, "God, where next?" And with that, he walked away, alone again, but not lost. Carver drifted for years, painting, cooking, doing laundry, gardening, working odd jobs, anything that brought him closer to learning. He was a seeker, a traveler between worlds. The natural world, where every leaf was a teacher, and the human world, where education was locked behind prejudice. Yet he continued moving forward with quiet persistence. Finally, his path led to a place that would transform him. Iowa State Agricultural College. And unlike so many places before, they welcomed him. Professors noticed something unusual the moment he arrived. He didn't just study plants, he connected with them. One professor wrote in a letter, "Carver has a mind that blends science and spirit. It is as if he sees life from the inside out." He excelled in botany, plant pathology, soil health. His laboratory notes were meticulous, almost artistic. His sketches of fungi and roots were so beautiful that faculty requested they be displayed in hallways. Carver began tutoring younger students. He became beloved, gentle, patient, always encouraging. Friends described him as a man who moved slowly, spoke softly, and listened deeply, as if every moment carried spiritual weight. And soon, he became the first black faculty member in Iowa State's history. From a rejected boy to a respected scholar. But destiny had even larger plans. One quiet night in Iowa, Carver walked alone through the fields under a full moon. The air was cool. The earth smelled alive. He knelt by a patch of wild plants, feeling their leaves. And there, in the hush of midnight, he felt something he later described as a holy whisper. Not a voice, not a sound, but a knowing, a message. Go south. They need you. Days later, a letter arrived from Booker T. Washington of the Tuskegee Institute. A simple request. Come. Teach. Help my people rise. Carver didn't hesitate. He packed his belongings. Some seeds, some sketches, his microscope, his Bible. And followed the whisper. When Carver arrived in Alabama in 1896, he found a region still scarred by history. Cotton fields exhausted. Land stripped bare. Families trapped in the cycle of poverty. But Carver did not see despair. He saw soil waiting to be healed. People waiting to be empowered. Communities waiting to bloom. Tuskegee welcomed him with open hearts. But very limited resources. No proper lab. No supplies. No equipment. But Carver simply smiled. "If you give me a patch of earth, I will build you a laboratory." And he did. He scavenged old bottles, tin scraps, used boards, broken tools, and built a lab from nothing. The students watched in awe. Carver told them, "Value what you have. Use what is around you. God wastes nothing." And so began the most important chapter of his life. Not as a scientist in a grand institution, but as a healer of land and people. A gentle teacher whose wisdom flowed like water, changing everything it touched. When George Washington Carver began teaching at Tuskegee, he quickly realized that he was not merely in a school. He was in a land that had been wounded. Cotton had stripped the soil of its strength. Families grew poorer every year. Children walked barefoot miles to class with empty stomachs. Farmers lived under an invisible weight, helplessness. But Carver saw something else. He saw possibility hidden beneath struggle. Just as a seed hides the promise of a future tree. One early morning, Carver walked through the fields near Tuskegee. The soil was dry, pale, tired. He knelt down, held a handful of earth, and let it fall slowly through his fingers. Then he whispered, "Even tired soil can rise again." Those 6 words became the foundation of his life's mission. Carver gathered the farmers one evening in a wooden shed lit by lanterns. They sat silently, exhausted from long days in the fields. Carver spoke softly. "If you plant the same crop again and again, the land becomes hungry, just like a man who eats only one thing." The farmers nodded, they understood hunger. Then Carver introduced them to a new idea. Plant peanuts. Plant sweet potatoes. Plant legumes. They feed the soil. The room murmured. Peanuts? Sweet potatoes? These weren't cash crops. They weren't traditions. They weren't safe. But Carver reassured them, not with authority, but with gentleness. Give the earth a chance to breathe, and it will give you more than you can imagine. Some listened. Some didn't. But change had begun. But Carver knew one thing clearly. People learn best when knowledge travels to them. So he designed something revolutionary, a traveling education wagon funded by Morris K. Jessup. The Jessup wagon. Imagine it. A horse pulling a mobile laboratory. Wooden shelves filled with seeds. Simple tools. Charts. Soils and jars. And Carver himself standing in the sun, smiling warmly as farmers gathered around. He demonstrated how to enrich soil. How to protect crops. How to make homemade fertilizers. How to grow vegetables that children had never tasted before. Wherever the wagon stopped, hope spread like new roots in spring rain. Farmers began experimenting, testing, trusting. Their land responded. Their families changed. And for the first time in decades, the soil came back to life. One afternoon, a farmer approached Carver with tears in his eyes. "Professor, I think my land is dead." Carver walked with him to the field. Cracked soil. No green anywhere. A place abandoned by life. Carver knelt. Scooped some dirt. Smelled it. Crumbled it softly. Then he looked at the man with his patient, gentle gaze. "Your land is not dead. It is only exhausted. Like a man working without rest. Let us teach it to breathe again." The farmer followed Carver's guidance. He planted cowpeas. Returned nutrients. Rotated crops. And by the next season, green shoots rose boldly through the soil. The farmer said, "It feels like a miracle." Carver replied, "No, only understanding." But soon a new challenge arrived. Farmers had grown peanuts exactly as Carver instructed. And the harvest was enormous, more than anyone expected. Too much. So much that farmers didn't know what to do with them. Warehouses overflowed. Prices dropped. Fear spread again. They came to Carver, desperate. "Professor, you told us to grow peanuts. But now we cannot sell them." Carver listened, calm as always. Then he said, "Bring me your peanuts. We will discover what they wish to become." He took bags of peanuts to his small Tuskegee laboratory. And there, the miracles began. He worked in silence, not rushing, not forcing, letting curiosity guide him like a lantern in a dark hallway. He boiled peanuts. Pressed them. Ground them. Separated their oils. Mixed them with chemicals. Tried combinations no one had imagined. Day after day. Night after night. He experimented gently, patiently. Students often heard his soft voice through the door. "Dear Creator, reveal to me the secrets of your peanuts." And little by little, answers came. He discovered over 300 uses for peanuts. Peanut oil. Peanut butter. Peanut milk. Shampoo. Flour. Paints. Soaps. Dyes. Adhesives. Medicinal oils. Cosmetics. Household cleaners. Massage oils. And so much more. The peanut was no longer just food. It was a universe of possibilities. Farmers' incomes rose. Communities stabilized. Families thrived. He had not just saved a crop. He had saved a region. Carver always insisted that he did not create anything. He said, "I simply ask God, and He reveals His secrets." Every morning, he woke before sunrise, walked into the woods, spoke to plants as friends, listened to nature like scripture. He believed that every leaf held wisdom, every flower was a teacher, every peanut had a destiny, and through that gentle, spiritual relationship with the natural world, the miracles flowed. The world was beginning to notice the quiet man from Tuskegee, his discoveries, his gentle spirit, his way of turning simple things into wonders, his gift for healing both land and people. They were no longer secrets hidden in Alabama. Newspapers wrote about him. Scientists discussed him. Farm organizations invited him. Universities wanted him to speak. But fame did not change him. He still lived in a tiny room. Still woke before sunrise to walk in the woods. Still greeted every flower like an old friend. Still spoke softly to students, as if wisdom did not need volume, only presence. Then came the moment that would send him onto the national stage. In the winter of 1921, the United States Congress invited Carver to speak about peanuts and their potential. Carver didn't own a suit suitable for such an occasion. He borrowed one. He didn't enjoy travel. He packed lightly, a small bag, a few peanut products, his notes scribbled on scraps of paper. When he arrived in Washington, the halls of the Capitol felt overwhelming. Tall marble pillars, sharp footsteps, voices bouncing off stone walls. But when Carver stepped into the chamber, silence fell. The congressman expected a quick explanation. Some didn't expect much at all. But Carver began speaking with a calm, humble warmth that filled the room like sunlight. He explained not only peanuts, but soil, farming, poverty, and the strength hidden in ordinary things. His voice was steady, gentle, respectful, and yet every sentence carried decades of lived wisdom. Then came the famous moment. A congressman asked sharply, "Dr. Carver, how did you learn all these things?" Carver smiled softly. "From an old book," he replied. The congressman leaned forward. "Which book?" Carver answered, "The Bible." A whisper passed through the room. He continued, "It tells me, ask, and you shall receive. So I asked the Creator questions. And He reveals His secrets." The room went still. No arrogance. No pride. Only a man who believed knowledge was a gift meant to be shared. When he finished, the entire room rose to its feet, a rare standing ovation in Congress. From that day, America knew his name. But Carver simply returned to Tuskegee, smiling, walking back into his little lab, continuing his quiet work. With fame came invitations. Presidents wanted to meet him. Foreign governments asked his advice. Millionaires asked him to work for them. Even Thomas Edison offered Carver a salary many times larger than what he earned. Carver thanked him politely, and declined. He said, "My life is here. My students need me. My people need me." He chose purpose over wealth, service over comfort, meaning over luxury. One day a wealthy businessman tried to give Carver a lavish gift, a car, expensive and shining. Carver shook his head gently. He said, "I cannot accept what I do not need." The man insisted. Carver smiled. "My joy comes from helping others grow, not from owning more things." And he walked away, leaving the man speechless. Carver lived the same lesson he taught. It is not what you have that makes you rich, but what you can give. By now, Carver had discovered. Heavy checkmark over 300 uses for peanuts. Heavy checkmark over 100 uses for sweet potatoes. Heavy checkmark dozens of products from pecans, soybeans, and clays. Heavy checkmark new farming systems that revived the entire South. Heavy checkmark groundbreaking natural dyes used by artists. Heavy checkmark innovative medicines. Heavy checkmark foods that nourish generations. But if you asked him about his inventions, he would always say, "I am only the instrument. Nature is the teacher." He held no patents on most of his discoveries. Why? He said something unforgettable. "God gave them to me. How can I sell them?" More than anything, Carver loved his students. He taught them not only science, but gratitude, humility, wonder, responsibility, awareness. He often said, "Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to see the unseen." His classroom was a sanctuary, not just a place of knowledge, but a place of awakening. Students who entered his lab often described the same experience. No loud machines, No chaos. Just a gentle calm. The soft clink of glass jars. The faint aroma of boiling peanuts or sweet potatoes. Carver humming hymns under his breath. Sunlight pouring through dusty windows. It was a temple, not a laboratory. A place where the boundary between science and spirituality vanished. He reminded students, look deep into nature, and you will understand everything better. Every morning, long before sunrise, Carver walked into the woods. Not to study, but to listen. He believed nature spoke, not in words, but in impressions, intuition, quiet revelations. He once said, I love to think of nature as unlimited broadcasting stations, through which God speaks to us every hour. He felt connected to everything. Soil, plants, people, light, life. His work was not science alone. It was devotion. Fame never distracted Carver. If anything, it humbled him more. As the nation praised him, he kept repeating, I am but a trailblazer. Others will go farther than I ever can. He didn't want a statue. He didn't want awards. He didn't want to be remembered as a man of genius. He wanted to be remembered as a teacher. Always a teacher. Young students, some poor, some carrying heavy burdens, followed him like shadows. They adored him. Not because he was famous. Not because he invented 300 peanut products. Not because he was a scientific legend. But because he saw them. Really, truly saw them. In ways no one else ever had. When a student struggled, Carver didn't raise his voice. He didn't scold. He simply placed a gentle hand on their shoulder and said, you are capable of more than you know. Let me show you. And something miraculous happened. Students bloomed. Not like flowers forced to grow, but like seeds finally receiving sunlight. One young boy, barely 12, came to Carver crying because he couldn't read as well as the other students. Carver sat beside him, not as a scientist, but as a grandfather would. He whispered, every seed grows at its own pace. Some bloom in spring. Some wait for the summer sun. Don't rush your season. Your mind too will blossom when it is ready. The boy later became a teacher, inspired by the man who never let him feel small. By the late 1930s, Carver was in his 70s. His hands trembled sometimes. His footsteps slowed. Even sunlight felt heavier on his skin. But his eyes, gentle, wise, patient, glowed brighter than ever. He still woke before dawn. Still visited the greenhouse. Still taught. Still prayed. Still walked into the woods to talk with the flowers. Students would secretly watch him from a distance. Sometimes they saw him kneel beside a plant, whispering like an old friend had just returned. It was never strange. It was beautiful. It was Carver. Around this time, Henry Ford invited Carver to Michigan. Ford admired him deeply, not just his science, but his simplicity. When Ford sent a limousine to pick him up, Carver declined and took a normal train. When Ford arranged a lavish guest room, Carver chose the simplest one. The two men walked through fields together, discussing plant-based plastics, natural dyes, soil conservation, fuels made from plants. A future where agriculture and industry worked hand in hand. They were opposites in many ways, but they shared a belief. The answers to the future are already in nature. Their conversations birthed early experiments in biodegradable plastics, a dream ahead of its time. Carver had every reason to resent the world. Born into slavery, mother kidnapped, rejected by schools, denied opportunities, faced discrimination his entire life. Lived in poverty despite being a genius. But he remained gentle. He told a class one day, hate injures the hater more than the hated. I shall never let bitterness enter my heart. He chose kindness, again and again. Not because life was kind to him, but because he refused to let life make him anything less than love. In his last year, he gave a small lecture at Tuskegee. Students noticed he seemed tired, leaning slightly on a table. But his voice, soft, steady, glowing, was full of the same magic as always. He said, no individual has any right to come into the world and go out of it without leaving behind distinct and legitimate reasons for having passed through it. He paused, looked around the room, smiled tenderly. Find your reason. Serve with humility. Grow where you are planted. Some students cried. They knew they were hearing the last words of a legend. On January 5, 1943, after a small fall in his home, George Washington Carver quietly slipped away. No fortune beside him. No possessions of value. Only a decades-old Bible, a few notes, and jars filled with plant samples. He lived poor and died rich in ways the world could never measure. When the news spread, 30,000 people attended his memorial. President Franklin D. Roosevelt said Carver had done more to improve the welfare of millions than almost any man of his era. But Carver would not have wanted that praise. He would have simply smiled and walked back into his lab, a way of seeing the world, a way where every plant has purpose, every human has potential, every problem contains a hidden answer, every soul is capable of growing toward the light. George Washington Carver teaches us that greatness does not begin in comfort. It begins in curiosity, in gentleness, in listening. He teaches us that even the humblest life can become a miracle if guided by love for others. And he reminds us, when you do the common things in life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. His life wasn't loud. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't filled with riches. It was filled with purpose. And that is the richest life of all. Let his story stay with you. Let it plant something inside you. Let it grow. If this calm, cinematic journey touched your heart, like the video. Subscribe for more life-changing biographies. Comment which legend you want next. Share this with someone who needs inspiration today. Your suggestion may become our next 60-minute documentary. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and keep listening to the quiet wisdom of the world around you.